Hi guys, thanks for tuning in to this video presentation about athlete monitoring with me, Steve Nightingale. I'm the Head of Strength and Conditioning for the English Ice Hockey Association, and this season I'll be working with the Coventry Blaze, who play in the Elite Ice Hockey League, which is the top tier of ice hockey over here in the UK. This video will probably go onto my YouTube account, but primarily I'm recording it for the guys over at hockeystrengthandconditioning.com. If you've not been over to check out their website yet, it's a fantastic resource for all things strength and conditioning and ice hockey related. So get on over there for any podcast interviews, instructional videos, all sorts of things from the top guys in the industry. So check out www.hockeystrengthandconditioning.com. So we're talking about athlete monitoring today, and really it comes into two forms. You can look at objective athlete monitoring, so things like training impulse or heart rate variability, and you can look at subjective, so how the athletes are responding to it personally, how they feel, and we do that really through the use of questionnaires. In the past, it might be a questionnaire that looks a little bit like this. So you can see just the questions and then the athlete considers how they feel, and you would be recording these on paper, filling them in loads of maybe Excel spreadsheets, lots of paper for you to be carrying around. It gets really difficult to analyze. I'm going to show you how you can do that much quicker and easier using Google. So if we click over here to Google, you'll need a Gmail account. But the first thing you want to do is go into Google Forms and click to Google Forms. When this loads up, you'll see mine for the Coventry Blaze in the bottom corner, but there it is. But I'm going to start from scratch from a new form. So you can follow this step by step. In the title, you just want to, let's call it your team. And the description really, it's just about how they're going to fill the questionnaire in. So I'm going to copy these instructions straight across from this questionnaire. And the first thing I'm going to want is, I want to know who's filling this in. So let's change this option here from multiple choice to a short answer. That means they can type their name in. I'm going to make this a required question, so they have to fill it in. And now I'm going to start adding my questions. So question number 1, we'll take diet. In there. And again, we'll change this from multiple choice to a drop down. You'll see when we preview this how it works. Now I've got 5 options. They are fantastic. Now you want to give everything a numerical value. I obviously think, if they're in a great state, they'll have a high number. If they're in a terrible state, they'll have a low. So we're going to start with fantastic. It's going to be 4. There we go, and we can make that a required question as well. So the beauty of this is you can just duplicate these questions now, because these are always going to stay the same. So we can duplicate that, go on to our second question, copy, and in there. Now, one of the key things I think about questionnaires is how many questions are you asking. I wouldn't use 10. I never use 10. I have 6 on my Blaze questionnaire. For this example, I'll probably just put 4 in. So we'll add sleep. I'll add 1 more in. If you have too many questions, the players just get a bit bored and they don't really fill it in properly. And that goes the same for how many times you're using them. Our guys have games on Saturdays and Sundays, so I'm going to give them a questionnaire they'll have a rest down on Monday, so I'll give them a questionnaire on the Tuesday, and then I'll give them a questionnaire on the Friday right before the weekend. Again, if you have if you use the forms too often, players don't really pay too much attention, and then you're not getting the best answers from them. The other thing is, if a player thinks that by giving a bad score he's not going to play, then he's going to tell you what you want to hear rather than what the real answer is. So you need to make it clear to them of why you're doing this. Okay, so we'll stick there. We have 4 questions. Now you can change the look of this up here in the color palette. Let's say, I don't know, your team plays in orange, you can give a color like that, or if you wanted to have your team logo, you can add a picture. I have a Blaze logo on ours for the Blaze. I'll just put an ice hockey picture in here. Okay. So you can see, there we are. And finally, over in settings, you're going to go to presentation and just add a confirmation message, just so players know what to do once they've finished. Okay, we can save that. So that's it. Your questionnaire is now good to go. I'll show you a preview of how it looks to a player. So they get an email and they can go straight through with their smartphone, pop the name in, and then this is why we have the drop down menus. So I feel great. And normal and submit. Now you see the message that you've completed, so they can go and close that down. And you can see straight away we have 1 response come up. So click on the responses and there we have them. I don't find these very useful, so the rest of this tutorial we're going to get a little bit technical with some Google Sheets. Just before I go over there, you can see here's the send option. You click on this, email address, fire it off to all your players in the morning, and you'll get the responses straight to your form. So what we're going to do to make this analysis a little bit easier, we're going to click on this option here to create a spreadsheet. And you can see here we have the timestamp, so when it was completed, who completed it, and their scores. Now what I need to do is convert these into some numerical values. But the way Google Forms works, if I try and do some formulas, every time a new questionnaire or new questionnaire data comes in, it doesn't apply to the formula. So actually I need to get a little bit technical here and add an extra sheet, but it's not too complicated. So firstly, what you're going to do is come up to the address bar and copy this whole URL that's in here. You're going to come down to the bottom and add a sheet. And in that first box, A1, you're going to type equals import range, brackets, speech marks, and then paste the URL, and then have speech marks again. Follow this up with a comma, a space, more speech marks, and now you have to give the frame of reference. So if you see here at the bottom, this is called form responses 1. So in the second load of speech marks, we're going to have form responses 1, an exclamation mark, and then the data that you want to transfer over. So we had it from cell A1, and then we went across, we had there's timestamp, the name, and then 1, 2, 3, 4 questions. So we want to go from A1 to F, and let's say, sorry, that's A1 to F, and let's say we're going to have 1,000 answers. So we have A1 to F, 1,000, and finish your speech marks, and finally close this off with your bracket. I know that sounds complicated, but hopefully that's not too much to follow. Just click on enter, and you see a reference, and it says these sheets are not connected. So we allow the access, and then we have the sheet that looks identical to what you saw before. Okay, that doesn't change any, but it actually allows us to do some more with the numericals, which makes it more interesting. So what I'm going to do now is I want these numerical values. So I want this 4 and the 2, etc. So straight away I'm going to have equals value bracket right, because the value is on the right hand side, another bracket, click on the cell that I want and close 2 brackets, and that's going to give me a 4. Okay, if I highlight this cell, you see a blue square. I can copy this across 1, 2, 3, 4, and that I can then drag this down and apply this to as many cells as I want. Okay, so every time a new response is included, and we'll do this in a second, you'll see it pop in here. The final thing I'm going to do is come up with a total score, which I'm going to call my readiness to train. And that's just going to be a simple formula of equals, brackets, sum. Sorry, it's going to be equals, sum, bracket. Highlight the 4 boxes, close bracket, and it adds it up. So in this example, 16 would be the best score that I could achieve, and 0 would be the worst score that I can achieve. The final thing I'm going to do, because I like to color code things to make things visual, I'm just going to click on the K to highlight the whole row, sorry, the whole column. Click on Format, Conditional Formatting, and I want a color scale. So my minimum value as a number would be 0. I could score 0 in each one, and that would give me a bright red score. I would be in terrible shape to train. My maximum value will be a number that will be 16. That means that I am absolutely raring to go, and that's going to be green. So my midpoint is going to be a number of 8, which is in the middle, and that's going to be an orange or an amber color. So we can close that down now, and you can see, so the more green I am, the better I am to go. And the next thing I'm going to do is I actually just want to hide all of those. So right click and hide columns. Okay, so just to go back, here's my form. I'm going to email it to myself, show you how this would work for an athlete. So send it to myself, go to my Gmail. There we go, I've got a form. So I can see, before training, please rate today's feelings and your recent behaviours, fill in the form. I'm Steve. My diet's been terrible. My hydration's been awful. I didn't really get much sleep. And I've got some pretty bad DOMs. I'm not in a good place to train. I submit that form, and I can close down that window. That's the athlete's part done. As the coach, you look at your forms, real time. Oh, I didn't apply that to all cells. So I just need to apply that to all of our cells. There we go. And then you can see he's in a 2, so he's in a very bad state. Okay, so hopefully that's given you a way to collect some subjective data for your athletes, whether they're in the country, around the country. You're not going to need paper copies to go straight, and then you could probably, I link that on one of my spreadsheets to their training impulse, so I can see how hard they've worked and how hard they feel that they've worked. Look out for more videos coming from me soon, and don't forget to check out hockeystrengthandconditioning.com. Thanks.